It is nice to be back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and hop in a 2023 fantasy football draft. I don't want to waste your time. Let's get in here. Actually, real quick, I do want to point out, I don't know if y'all saw the Chihuahua Butt Superflex just dropped. Now, I'm not going to be getting into Superflex draft right here. I think that the majority of people probably want to see a Best Ball Mania draft, and there's a surprise reason on why we need to go ahead and get into a Best Ball Mania draft that I will explain later on in this live stream. But just in case you're on Underdog, you're interested in Superflex, you have the Chihuahua Bit Superflex drop, $4 buy-in, $250,000 prize pool. Same structure as the last Chihuahua, but this time it's Superflex. I mean, $25,000 to first place, $15,000 to second place, $12,500 for third. Starting lineup requirements are going to be here. But instead, we are going to get in Best Ball Mania. Now, I'll explain why we need the money, but we need to be going for the big prizes here, ladies and gentlemen. $25 buy-in, $3 million prize pool, $15 million prize pool, $3 million for first place. And I need it. We really do. So we are going to get in this, and I'll explain in just one bit. But let's see what pick we are going to be getting here. All right, this fills immediately. Let's see what we're getting. Come on. Okay, we are at pick 10. Not going to sit here and cry about pick 10. I actually think that we should be able to make a pretty strong roster from here. But anyway, let's see. Master Date, got a weed whacker. Got to shout you out, my man. David out here. Thank you, Jeep guys. Suzuki, Mark, Canella, Siva Bon. I believe I said that right. Probably not. I think Augustus, the pacifier, long-time member of the flock, happy to see you out. Thank you so much for everybody coming to hang out with us. And of course, if you haven't done so already, drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And just in case you're living under a rock and you don't know what this is Underdog Fantasy. This is where we draft literally every single day. It's best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during this season. It's how I drafted over 700 teams and won $150,000 last year on Underdog. And yeah, I mean, we're going to do this literally every single day until the season starts. You can sign up with promo code FLOCK. They're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. And also with promo code FLOCK, you're going to get my 2023 fantasy football rankings, as well as a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Tyreek Hill goes over Chase here, which is interesting. And then real quick side note, of course, this is where Underdog's available pretty much everywhere. If your state's in yellow, has Underdog Fantasy. But let's go ahead and let's see what happens. You have Chase at 3, which is a little different. Usually you have Tyreek Hill going at 3 or 4. Chase goes at 2. AJ Brown going at 5. Early to see AJ Brown. I wonder if that team wants to go ahead and take like Devonta Smith at big 20 and then Jalen Hurts at 29. And I wonder if that's why they're going ahead and taking this start. Okay. Interesting. Let's see. We have Jeep guy says, let's go. Hope the lake was wet. Yes, sir. The lake was great. I'll show you all a really cool video from the lake in just 1 second. Real second. Okay. Mark says, finally a Superflex draft. Let me know if y'all want us to get into a Superflex draft. Not going to be doing the Superflex draft here. I can definitely get into a Superflex draft maybe after this or tomorrow if y'all would like to see it. Okay, Young Steezy on the clock. Let's see what they decide to do. We really wanted CeeDee Lamb. Oh my gosh. We'll take Eckler. F it. The guy that we want may have a shot to make it back around to us. Okay, Scorp wants to see. Okay, it looks like everybody wants a Superflex draft after this. Yeah, we'll get a Superflex draft going after this if y'all would like. Now, Sean on the clock. I'm really interested to see who we get here at pick 15. Let's see. Jalen Hurts goes at 12. Devonta Smith at 13. So those people going with the unique combo. Sean back on the clock. Goes Devontae Adams. So we are going to start this draft off with Austin Eckler, Bijan Robinson. This is interesting. This is very exciting. I definitely have never had to start this way on Underdog, and I would say very few teams will have. I mean, this is, like we said, a massive tournament here, right? So one of the biggest things that we want to do is try to have that unique pairing of guys out the gate, such as Eckler and Bijan Robinson. I'm actually excited. I mean, obviously it's scary to see if we're going to get wide receivers later on, but this could be a crazy team. And then real quick, this is why we need to be in some Best Ball Mania drafts. This is why we need the 3 million and not the 25,000 that's in the Chihuahua 4 or Chihuahua, but Superflex. We went to the lake this weekend and oh my gosh, it was fun. We wake surfed. I don't know if anybody else has done that. I did that when I was a kid at my friend's lake house, but I wasn't good at it. I think it was just maybe I was too small. I didn't have any muscle, but tried it again. And dear God, I killed it. I got to show y'all this video. I got to flex on y'all. We'll take a brief pause here. It'll be a 15-second video and we can get back to it. Okay. Check this out. Check this out. Look at your boy out there. Hit him with the spin. Okay. We have a pretty brutal fall here right after, but nonetheless. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And of course, if y'all want that perfect content, top tier content, Mason_Dodd on Instagram. Yeah, go check it out. Go check it out. But Overcome coming out with the donation. Thank you so much. Says, I want a Bijan Wilson Olave start in my 10-team league this season. Honestly, if you're in a 10-team like shallow redraft league, I think that could actually be very possible for you there. I think that honestly probably will happen if you want it to. But yeah, thank you guys. I was so damn good at that. Like I'm surprised that I was any good, but I was excited. Okay. Dingy says, no Superflex Chihuahua. You will get in a Superflex draft after this one if y'all want. We will. I just want to do a Best Ball Mania because after being at the lake, I've decided that I need a lake house. I need a boat. So I need to win Best Ball Mania and I need $3 million. I'm no mathematician, but I think that's what it's going to take. All right. Let's move this over. Now, Brees Hall off the board at 29. Andrews goes 30. Let's see what we do here. Derrick Henry fell quite a bit. Derrick Henry made it to pick 28. Here, this team actually has a very interesting build. They went Kupp, Barkley, Henry with their first 3 picks. Deebo Samuel goes 31. Deebo Samuel is actually our target here at 34. Okay. Let's see. Zero night on the clock went Kelsey, Chubb out the gate. They go Ridley, 32. Young Steezy on the clock after a CeeDee Lamb, Jonathan Taylor start. Jacobs has fallen. Clearly, Jacobs is better than Amari, but it's like, what do you need? We personally need a wide receiver here. So while it would have been interesting, it would have been exciting to have Josh Jacobs make it to us at pick 34. Probably wouldn't have been, it's not what we need, right? It's not what we need. So this team takes Christian Watson at pick 35. Christian Watson definitely would have been a target for us on the way back around. ETN, Keenan Allen. Not a big Keenan guy. Lamar goes. Thank Mason. Okay, 58-63 will be our next 2 picks. We're going to take Najee Harrison. I'll explain later. I understand most people say, Mason, come on, you idiot. You need a wide receiver, take a wide receiver. And honestly, we probably should. Honestly, that probably would be the right call. But I'm going to take Najee, explain what we're doing later on in this draft. There are a couple different reasons that we're going down this road. Hopefully it works out for us. Hopefully it does. Tanner says, give this man a like after the Instagram lake video. Yeah, come on, guys. If we hit 350 likes in this live stream, we'll fire up another draft. And of course, if y'all want to get in the next draft, Underdog, promo code FLOCK. And real quick, let me actually show y'all. Let's pull up the rivals lines they have on Underdog. And let's see if we can actually find a Najee line here. So if you're looking at Najee Harris lines, they have one here, which is Najee Harris versus Ramondre Stevenson in rushing touchdowns. They're projecting Najee Harris to actually have more rushing touchdowns. It's Najee Harris minus half of one. And then also Najee Harris versus Dameon Pierce in rushing yards. They're expecting Najee Harris to also have more rushing yards than Dameon Pierce. Other players in this range, if you were going to be looking, maybe the wide receiver we would have taken would have been Jerry Jeudy, right? So if we would have gone wide receiver, I mean, if you're looking at his line, he's 5 receiving touchdowns, 900 receiving yards. And we'll get a little more in depth why we decided not to go Jerry Jeudy with our next pick. But let's first wait until we're actually back up on the clock. DTB says someone took Jalen Hurts in the first. Yeah, so the way that we got Bijan Robinson to fall to us in the second round there is we actually had a 1-2 turn of Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith. So honestly, I think we'll be able to make it work. We'll see. And of course, those player props are also on Underdog, just in case y'all don't know. I'm sure y'all do. Okay. Hawkinson goes 49. Obviously, at this point, when the only wide receiver we have on our roster is Amari Cooper, we're definitely wanting a wide receiver to make it back to us. Now, there are a few other players I'd be fine pivoting off of wide receiver 4. It's just I'm uncertain if they're actually going to fall to us. Matthew says, now that it's been a while, how do you feel about the teams you drafted pre-NFL draft? To be honest with you, my man, not great. I drafted a lot of round 18, a lot of round 17 Will Levis. Back when Will Levis was like minus 450 to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know if he's going to be good, but if he's going to be a top 5 pick, he'll start this year and he has some rushing upside. Drafted a lot of Will Levis pre-NFL draft. Austin says, can quarterbacks count towards your flex position? In the Superflex draft, not this one. If quarterbacks could count towards your flex position in this draft, my man, quarterbacks would be going way higher than they are now. Herbert off the board at pick 55. Okay. So Herbert would have been in play, of course, since we have Austin Eckler. I mean, it's not like it's ideal that we would get Justin Herbert there. Zero night on the clock. Are they on auto? I don't think so. They may be. I don't know. They may be on auto draft. Let me look at the board after this and see if they are. Honestly, may help us out if they're on auto and they just start auto drafting a bunch of running backs at the top of ADP. Pittman goes, so we're going to take Hollywood Brown. So a big reason why we decide to pass on Jerry Jeudy is very rarely do you have like Aaron Jones falling to this range. So if I'm looking at like the wide receivers here, such as like Hollywood Brown, Michael Pittman, I do kind of view them in a comparable range to Jerry Jeudy. Whereas Najee Harris versus like Alexander Madison, Miles Sanders, which generally are the running backs that you're thinking here in the late 5th, early 6th. I don't necessarily think that you actually have, Alexander Madison, Miles Sanders in the same tier as what you would with Najee Harris, which is why we decided to take Najee. Do we go Lockett or Kittle? Okay, let's think. Oh, F me. We're going to have to go Tyler Lockett. We don't have another option. Like, I think Kittle is a better pick than Lockett, but where it gets a little scary is if we don't have wide receivers that we like making it to us at pick 82, we could be in a spot where we just simply have to take like freaking Cortland Sutton at pick 87 and have no other option. And I don't want to put ourselves in that position. Maybe we should say, okay, F it. It's a $25 buy-in, $3 million for first place. Kind of everything has to go right for us. We have to assume that maybe the guys that we actually need fall to us. But I don't know. Who's this guy? Okay, if this guy is on auto, he's going to auto Deontay Johnson, which isn't great for us. We'd rather him auto Miles Sanders and keep on autoing running backs. But actually, no, never mind. He's not on auto draft. We were just wrong. He goes ahead and takes Trevor Lawrence here, pick 65. Okay. Misa says, on the clock in my Dalmatian draft, who do you like between Tyquan Thornton, Marvin Mims, Curtis Samuel, John Mechie, Isaiah Hodgins, etc., the wide receivers in that range? Can I have a cop out and say probably dependent on your roster construction? Like, for example, if you don't have your quarterbacks locked in, I probably want to go with someone like Tyquan Thornton or Curtis Samuel. That way in the last round, you can grab like Mac Jones or Sam Howell. Isk says Tyquan. I mean, I was taking a lot of Tyquan Thornton at the very beginning of the offseason, but now that you have the DeAndre Hopkins rumors, I'm a little more hesitant. No, I don't know. Okay. Burks goes 69. I don't even know what wide receiver we would want to make it back to us, right? This is why I don't want to say panicked, but this is why we did decide to go Tyler Lockett over George Kittle. Just like we're kind of hoping Quentin Johnston, Brandon Cooks make it back to us. And if they don't, it's like Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, Michael Thomas, Cortland Sutton. So it can get ugly quick. I mean, we have Amari, Hollywood, Lockett, so it's not like we have absolutely nothing. It's just not pretty at all. Okay. Addison goes 72. Henry says, I hate people who join an auto their entire draft. Why even join? I actually kind of like when I'm drafting with an auto drafter. I know it sounds crappy, but if I'm drafting with an auto drafter, if like they join, I think we had an auto drafter on like a $50 draft the other day. If they join an auto draft, the $50 draft, and they essentially just pay the rake for everybody else, I'm fine. If you want to join a draft and auto and you want to pay my rake, by all means, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. Now we have Kadarius Toney off the board there at 73. Kyle Pitts, 74. Pickens goes. Did y'all watch the video we put out yesterday? Actually, I thought people were really, really going to like it, but it didn't do that well on YouTube. I mean, I could see by like the statistics that the people who watched it for like a very long time, but I don't know why, just not a lot of people clicked on it. But did y'all get a chance to watch our video where we talked about like the year 2 expectations for all these wide receivers, guys like Jahan Dotson? Who else is a year 2 wide receiver? I mean, Garrett Wilson. God, I'm in. Drake London, Chris Olave, Christian Watson, like all those guys. Let me know what y'all thought of it. But Matthew says he watched it. Okay, most people watched it. Let me know. Yeah, let me know what y'all thought of it, guys. Okay, Rashad White, Darren Waller goes 78-79. Bean Salad says, the video wasn't even recommended to me. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like YouTube, I don't know why. It was weird, but I thought it was a good video. But thank you so much, guys. Okay. Waller goes 79. Quentin Johnston, 80. Not great for us. This is why we had to go ahead and take a wide receiver in the last round. We had no other option. Oh my gosh, my freaking mouse just died. I was supposed to charge it before this live stream. God, I'm stupid. Okay, it looks like we're going to make this pick from our phone here. Yeah, my phone has service. All right, we're good. Brandon Cooks goes. So we're going to go DeAndre Swift and turn this into a hyper fragile build. I'm only going to take 4 running backs in this build, so it's a very weird. I mean, this is something that actually won Best Ball Mania in year 1. A lot of people tried doing it in year 2. Everybody thought it was the optimal strategy to try to win these large field tournaments. In general, I actually don't like the hyper-fragile approach now, given the fact that it's very difficult to find wide receiver value later on, whereas it's pretty easy to find running back value later on. But yeah, when the board falls to us, we'll have some weird builds where we'll go ahead and we'll have the hyper-fragile approach. We're also going to take Deshaun Watson to pair up with Amari Cooper and also allow us to only have to draft 2 quarterbacks. That way we can grab the extra wide receiver here. So, yeah. Let me know what y'all think of that turn. So, in general, like if we were looking at trying to make a hyper fragile running back team work, what a lot of people did, like right after the team won it last year, is they just took 4 running backs in a row. Honestly, I don't even know if you can get away with taking 4 running backs in a row now. I think you probably are going to have to grab like a wide receiver there in round 3 like we do with Amari Cooper. But nonetheless, we get Eckler behind ADP, Bijan Robinson behind ADP, Najee Harris there in the 4th round, and then DeAndre Swift at the end of the 7th. All running backs have different bye weeks. So I don't know. I think we can make it work with the hyper-fragile approach here with these 4 guys. Like I said, generally, this is not going to be the draft strategy and roster construction I'm trying to implement, even in these large field contests, even if it's what won it the first season, because I think boards this year probably are optimized actually to go anchor wide receiver. But we'll mix it in if that's how the board falls to us. And I mean, I like it. So Matthew says, so is this a 2-4-9-3 or a 2-4-10-2? Considering the fact that we haven't taken a tight end yet, I would assume that it's most likely going to be a 2-4-9-3, especially since tight ends obviously can go in the flex spot as well. Okay. So let's move this down. Bateman, Thomas, Elijah Moore all off. I think maybe you can make the argument to go ahead and take Deshaun Watson there at 82 and then grab Elijah Moore on the way back around at 87 and stack the Cleveland Browns offense with Watson, Mari, as well as Elijah Moore. I think a lot of people probably would have done that, and maybe that was the right call. I don't know. I saw DeAndre Swift. I mean, it's difficult for me to take Elijah Moore over DeAndre Swift, just given the offense Swift is in. Okay. Now, Javonte goes 94. And obviously, at this point, what we are wanting to see is we are wanting to see running backs go. Let's swing this back around. Now, Andrew says, thoughts on the Superflex draft. Tesla says, 350 likes, we can get a Superflex. Yes, we hit 350 likes. We'll fire up the Superflex draft on Underdog. And of course, if you want to join our draft, we're going to do probably Superflex drafts as well as regular fantasy football drafts over the next few days. And if you want to be in one, Underdog Fantasy, promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Available in damn near every state. Find the link in the live chat. Find it in the description. I mean, we drafted over 700 teams, won $150,000 last year because there's no time commitment at all during this season. Like, this isn't supposed to replace your regular fantasy football league. It's supposed to be added on fun on the side. Okay. Now, let's move this over. Tua goes pick 99. Tua wasn't really in play for us, right? And we don't have Tyreek. We don't have Waddle. So, I mean, honestly, it's kind of good for us to see Tua go. Evan Ingram goes pick 100. You have noticed Evan Ingram actually falling a considerable amount in the majority of these drafts as of late. Okay. God, I am so thirsty. I needed some water. I'm dehydrated from the lake. And hey, I put on enough sunscreen though. You can tell your boy's not sunburned. Okay, kind of surprised to be honest. All right, so here's what we're looking at. Quarterback, wide receiver, tight end. Essentially anything but running back. We can't take a running back here. Okay. I think we can do anything else but running back. Richardson goes pick 100. Zero night on the clock. This team that took Quentin Johnson. Johnson actually would have been kind of exciting to have on our team where we had Eckler, right? And needed a wide receiver. Goes Kirk Cousins, 104. Kind of good for us, to be honest. Gibson goes, so we're going to go ahead. We will take Tyler Boyd. I understand a lot of people are going to scream, Mason, you have Deshaun Watson, go David Njoku, get the double stack there with his Cleveland Browns offense. In reality, I do think that Tyler Boyd's kind of the last wide receiver in this tier. We get him 4 picks past ADP. We're just so desperate for a wide receiver when we only have Amari Cooper, Hollywood Brown, Tyler Lockett. Kind of fine just going ahead and taking Tyler Boyd instead. And then later on in the draft, we can go ahead and build around 3 tight ends rather than only 2. Yeah, we'll take Pat Frymuth here. Like, honestly, I think Pat Frymuth is just as good, if not better, than Njoku in a vacuum. The primary issue being is, obviously, we had Deshaun Watson, so we were incentivized to go David Njoku. If I didn't have Amari Cooper, I would definitely say, okay, we probably had to take David Njoku there. But I'd rather have the combination of, like, Tyler Boyd and Pat Frymuth than I would of David Njoku and Alan Lazard. But that's just me. Okay. So let's move this down. And yeah, so, I mean, like we said, going to be a hyper fragile build. Only going to have 4 running backs. We have Eckler, Bijan Robinson, Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift at RB. Wide receiver, we have Amari Cooper, Hollywood Brown, Tyler Lockett, Tyler Boyd. Quarterback, we have Deshaun Watson stacked up with Amari Cooper. Possibly we're going to look at Donovan Peoples-Jones or Cedric Tillman later on in this draft. And we also have Pat Freiermuth at tight ends. Drew says, the thing is, you also have the Pitt correlation, so it's actually fine from that perspective as well. Yeah. I mean, I think you can make a couple different arguments from a correlation perspective. And just in general, when it comes down to it at the end of the day, I think Boyd, Freiermuth is better than Njoku, Lazard. Okay. Jonathan says, does your strategy for stacking change at all in Superflex draft versus normal? Nope. Stacking is advantageous regardless of if it is a best ball underdog draft, a regular redraft league, a dynasty league, 1 quarterback, Superflex, PPR, non-PPR. I like it. Okay, so we have Daniel Jones, Geno Smith going off the board, 115, 116. Daniel Jones and Geno Smith both could have been players that we were looking at. I mean, with Geno Smith, this is a quarterback that would have paired up with Tyler Lockett for us. Daniel Jones, obviously, we can grab some Giants wide receivers later on in this draft. Okay. Scott Moore goes 120. God, I need some water so bad. I wish my girlfriend was here to bring me some. What I need to do is teach the dog some actually useful tricks. Like if I could use the dog like my little assistant. Tell her to, hey, Miley, go give me some water. Bring me a LaCroix or something. Oh, that'd be phenomenal. Okay, so more running backs going. Great for us to see guys like Devon Achane, Damian Harris, Elijah Mitchell, Khalil Herbert getting drafted here. Naturally, this is where you expect them to get drafted anyway, so it's not like they were jumping up and down. But it would have been very bad if we would have seen all those guys fall to us. Like Rashad Penny falling right now, not necessarily what we're wanting to see, right? Because even if Penny makes it 14 picks past his ADP, going to be difficult for us to draft Rashad Penny given how much of a need these other positions are. Okay, so let's swing this back around. See, Gallup goes. Flores on the clock. Goes Jamal Williams. Great for us. Interesting to see Rashad Penny still available. Rodgers goes. Kind of good for us, right? We don't have any Jets. Don't necessarily want to be in a spot where we feel like we have to take him. Okay, come on. Give us something we like. Give us something we like. This team is maybe on auto again. I don't know. They go Penny. Hell yes. A team has 6 running backs. Literally perfect for us. If we're done drafting a running back, we love to see those RBs going. That is best case scenario for us. Myers goes. We'll go ahead and we'll take Rondale Moore. We have Hollywood Brown, so we're going to set ourselves up with the ability to go Kyler Murray a little later on. I mean, we have Hollywood Brown, Rondale Moore. So, I mean, this could be a very interesting setup here. Now, the thing is, if we were to take a tight end at pick 135, right, can we pivot away from having to draft 3 tight ends to only drafting 2? Like, can I get away with Pat Freiermuth and the year 2 tight end in Tennessee, or Pat Freiermuth, Greg Dulcich, Pat Freiermuth, and Dalton Schultz? Would it be fine to only have those 2 guys, especially now that Rashee Rice is off the board? That's kind of the wide receiver I would have wanted here at 135. Goff's not really in play for us based off our roster. I think we're going to go ahead and take a tight end, and this will allow us to only have to draft 2 tight ends in this draft, and what may actually be an interesting call now. And I know we were talking about taking Deshaun Watson, so we only had to take 2 quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. But now that we have Hollywood Brown as well as Rondale Moore, there's a chance that maybe we want to go ahead and take 3 quarterbacks to try to sneak a Kyler double stack through to the fantasy football playoffs. Like if we could maybe sneak a Kyler team through with drafting like Kyler Murray round 16 and then another quarterback round 17 or 18, we could maybe pivot this from being a 2-4-9-3 to a 3-4-9-2. James says, if I signed up for Underdog Best Ball Draft, when would the draft start? Never tried one before. So essentially what happens is you'll go ahead, go to the lobby, right? And if you want to go through and join a draft, you hit enter, and then you'll be in a lobby. And once there are 12 people in the lobby with you, the draft automatically starts. So the thing about Underdog is there are just so many people drafting. Like this was launched about 24 hours ago. I don't even know if it's been that long. It has about 14,000 entrants. So generally when you enter in a draft, it takes about, I want to say 2 minutes for it to start. Sometimes you'll enter in a draft and it automatically starts if you were one of the last guys that they were waiting for. Okay. Drew says, I would agree with something like Kyler Pickett. That's probably what I'm looking to do here once we go with another tight end. Definitely still need to be taking 9 wide receivers, right? Like we're not going to be able to get away from that. But I think we can get away from having to draft 3 tight ends and pivot over to 3 quarterbacks there. Okay, so now Greg Dulcich, Dalton Schultz going off the board. Definitely good for us. Get these guys off. Get these guys off. Okay. Jared says, drafting my first Superflex team right now, would you suggest going a wide receiver or running back heavy since all the top ones will be gone? So in general, one thing you have to understand is in these underdog drafts, if you're playing in a 1 quarterback league, wide receivers are going to fly off the board. The reason being is you have to start 3 of them and you have a flex. However, if you are in a Superflex draft on Underdog, that's not going to be the case. The Superflex draft doesn't just add in a Superflex spot. What actually changes is you take one of the mandatory wide receiver slots and you remove it. So this is what I've been saying for years now, and people don't seem to understand this. But if you're in like a 1 quarterback draft on Underdog where you have to start 3 wide receivers and have the flex, it's optimal to grab your wide receivers early and go wide receiver heavy, but you need to pivot your strategy for the contest you're drafting in. So if it's super flex and they take it from where you have to start 3 wide receivers and a flex to where you only have to start 2 wide receivers, a flex and a super flex, there I actually am fine not going as heavy on wide receiver. So really dependent on the overall draft room that you're in, right? I'd say if you're in a 1 quarterback draft, you have to kind of grab your wide receivers early, whereas those super flex ones, I mean, you have some more flexibility with what you're going to do. Okay. So let's move. As Stafford goes 148, let's swing this back around. It's so funny. I mean, we can go ahead and we go like running back heavy in super flex drafts. At least that's what we did a lot last year. And last year, people literally could not wrap their head around it. So just made fun of us for taking running back in super flex drafts as they drafted the hell out of wide receiver when you only had to start 2 of them. Okay. So Singletary, Kmet off the board. So we're not going to go running back because we've already discussed. Here we are QB, wide receiver, tight end. This team has 3 quarterbacks. They have Herbert, Richardson, Rodgers, and only CMC Sanders at running back. So super weird build there. Actually, we're not even tight end here, right? We're just quarterback, wide receiver from here on out. Okay. Drew says, for example, at 12 in a Superflex draft, they started CMC Eckler. Were you able to get a quarterback that you still liked on the way back around, my man? I haven't got in Superflex draft in the past few months in Underdog. Yesterday, like I said, I was at the lake all day. Don't know if you got to saw freaking 360 backflip corkscrew off the dock flip by me earlier. But yeah, we were at the lake. And I am unsure what you'll be looking at a quarterback at the 312, 401. So I don't know. Okay. So Brock Purdy goes 157. Chark off the board. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take a wide receiver in Jaden Reed. Since we've committed to taking 3 quarterbacks, kind of going to be fine if some of these quarterbacks don't make it back to us, right? Like we're going to take 3 of them no matter what. There's a quarterback that has a lot of rushing upside in San Francisco that I've been doing some research on and kind of looks interesting. It's a super deep sleeper. I'll tell you all about him a little later on if we have to take him. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's just grab the wide receivers here. I think that maybe, just maybe, Jaden Reed can end up turning into something good. Who knows? And with MVS, I mean, what's interesting is if you go look at the pick'em lines on Underdog and you look at like Marquez Valdez-Scantling versus some of these other options, like let's pull up. Okay, that's Hollywood Brown. MVS is sitting here at 625 receiving yards. If you compare this to some of these other wide receivers, like it's more than Michael Gallup. That's about the same as Goddard, which I have no idea how the hell they could put that there. It's more than Thielen, right? It's more than Lazard. And these are guys that are going well ahead of Marquez Valdez-Scantling. It's ahead of Zay Flowers. It's well ahead of Elijah Moore. It's well ahead of Quentin Johnston. Like MVS right now on Underdog, I mean, they are projecting him to have a strong season, at least for the price point that he is right now in these drafts. Okay. Now, Deonta Foreman off the board, 165. Good for us, right? Good for us. Come on, let's get these tight ends going. Get these tight ends and running backs off. So how many wide receivers do we have so far? So wide receiver, we have Amari, Hollywood, Lockett, Boyd, Rondale Moore, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Jaden Reed. So we're going to get 2 more wide receivers. We only have 7 right now. And hopefully we can just capture some random spike weeks when we need them from each guy. Andrew says, MVS is the number 1 wide receiver in KC. Scorb says, MVS came off an injury and got better as the season went on last year. I definitely think Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Kadarius Toney should be closer in these drafts. I would still take Toney over MVS, but at cost, MVS at pick 154 versus Kadarius Toney in the 6th round. Definitely give me Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Shaheed goes. So good. Quarterbacks, obviously, we have Hollywood as well as Rondale Moore, so we are hoping that we get Kyler Murray on the way back around. Like that's our main target here. Okay, Gus Edwards goes. Great for us. Dawson Knox goes. Great for us. Okay. Nolan says, MVS was worth 0 in the Super Bowl. I remember from my Underdog playoff team. What's also funny, and I'm not trying to divert this from MVS, but if you look at Toney was pretty much worth 0 in the playoffs. Like, if you look at the Super Bowl, the amount of routes that Kadarius Toney actually ran, he wasn't on the field. He was a special teams guy. He had a big punt return, so obviously, I mean, he definitely contributed for the Kansas City Chiefs. And, I mean, I'd say how that one punt return makes it where that trade would 100% be always worth it for the Kansas City Chiefs. But, I mean, from an offensive perspective, they really didn't use him at all. Bryce Young goes 174. So I think actually looking at the QBs, we may get the quarterback that we need making it to us. Let's see. Swing this back around. So we are, like I said, this team, it has to go running back. They only had CMC Miles Sanders. They're going to go ahead and take Kenneth Gainwell there. We are quarterback, wide receiver. This team took 7 RBs. Honestly, that's really good for us that this team took 7 RBs when we went the hyper-fragile approach. Paris Campbell goes. Are we going to get Kyler? Pair up Hollywood as well as Rondale Moore. I mean, hell, this team took Russ like back in the 9th round. They go Kyler Murray for a 3rd quarterback. It is what it is. We'll take Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, I mean, we do have Najee Harris as well as Pat Frymuth. So in a way, we do get some correlation. We do get that double stack. You're going to be taking a wide receiver here. I mean, it's not like we're too excited to grab CJ Stroud, Sam Howell. Okay. Ritter goes 181. Early for Ritter. There are a lot of teams going 3 QBs here. Stroud off. F it. We'll just take wide receiver highest in ADP. We'll take John Mechie. Would have been nice if we had the possibility of taking CJ Stroud in round 17, right? But it is what it is. Get John Mechie about 8 picks past ADP. We definitely need another wide receiver. I mean, our initial plan was to only take 2 quarterbacks anyway, so definitely not going to be hurt waiting until round 17, round 18 to take another quarterback. It's not like we have to panic since we lost out on Kyler. So the team that, like I said, I mean, this is what a lot of people used to do on Underdog, and a lot of people used to think it's good. I don't necessarily think this is the optimal this season just because wide receiver value later on is not too strong, especially not in the middle rounds. But anyway, running back, we have Eckler, Bijan Robinson, Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift. Wide receiver, we have Amari Cooper, Hollywood Brown, Tyler Lockett, Tyler Boyd, Rondale Moore, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Jaden Reed, John Mechie, and we'll grab another quarterback in the next round. Quarterback, we have Deshaun Watson stacked up with Amari Cooper. We have Kenny Pickett double stacked with Najee Harris, Pat Frymuth, and then our tight ends are Pat Frymuth and the year 2 tight end in Tennessee. Okay. Let's move this down. And yeah, we are 14 likes away from firing up another draft after this one. So of course, go down there, drop a like in this live stream. Subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you want to get in our next draft on Underdog, link in the live chat, link in the description. Use promo code FLOCK. They'll match first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. Get our 2023 fantasy football rankings. And on top of that, it's available in damn near every state. Like I said, here, I'll show it right now. Pause the video. If your state's in yellow, you got Underdog Fantasy. Okay. Now, Shakir off the board, 187. What quarterbacks can we even be looking at on the way back around, right? I mean, someone named like Vance, Sir Lance. I can't remember who would be looking at. I don't know. Okay. Musgrave going off the board at 192. Okay, Superflex loading. Okay, yeah, we have just 2 more rounds. Let's go ahead and let's hop into a Superflex draft, right? I'll let you know who we take with those other 2 picks on our phone. We are getting in a Chihuahua butt Superflex here. And yes, for instance, Bob Vance, love it. Now, let's move this over. And yeah, so the ADP has adjusted. We have pick 6, so we will get an elite level quarterback. Oh, there's nothing that feels better than a good sneeze. Oh, nothing that feels better. So just in case you haven't seen, this is the Chihuahua Butt Superflex. $4 buy-in, $70,000 entrance, $25,000 for first place, $15,000 for second place, $12,500 for third place, all the way down the line. And we are winning this one. Now, if I had to choose, would I rather win the $25,000 in the Chihuahua or the $3 million in Best Ball Mania? Would be a tough call, but we'll make it work. Okay, so I don't recognize too many names from the people actually in this draft. If you're in this live stream drafting with us, let me know. Okay. Yeah, and if you don't see the Chihuahua app on your phone, I'd say maybe you got to update the app. I don't know. I mean, it popped up for me immediately. All I did was go to the homepage. Super simple. Go to the homepage. There's Best Ball Mania. There's the Chihuahua. There's the Dalmatian 2. There's their baseball draft, Moonshot Monday. Here's another baseball draft, 7th inning stretch. I usually ignore the baseball drafts, and I just look at the football ones. Okay. Now we have a bunch of quarterbacks going off. This is as expected. We are most likely going to get our favorite player in the whole wide world, Justin Fields. Mr. Padilla says, disregard. It's on the homepage, not under the NFL tab, though. Okay, so thank you for letting me know, my man. Thank you. Okay, so what are we getting here? Okay, Burrow goes. Yep, so we're going to take Justin Fields. And I probably need to be on my phone, right? So I can see when we're up on the clock at the other draft. Okay, yeah, we're about to be up on the clock. Okay. 8 straight quarterbacks out the gate. Honestly, I mean, from what I know with these drafts, generally I'll probably take Lawrence over Jefferson as well. In the other draft, you were never going to believe this in a million years, but somehow we got Trey Lance. Got our third quarterback, got Trey Lance there. And we'll be taking another wide receiver on the way back around. We're looking at Chase Claypool, Josh Downs, Robert Woods, Marvin Jones, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the team at 12 decides to go Chase Cup out the gate. Jeep guy says, voice is sounding a little scratchy, my man. Hope you can hang on to it. I think it was from screaming on the boat, to be honest. Tyreek goes. Okay, we took Josh Downs in round 18 of our other draft. Okay, CMC off the board. CMC would have been our pick if he would have made it. So in general, I mean, y'all have seen me do this a million times by now, but we take Stephon Diggs over Austin Eckler in the 1 quarterback drafts on Underdog. I mean, that's the reason why, in general, Stephon Diggs is actually one of my most drafted, if not my most drafted round 1 players. But given the fact that this is a super flex draft, and instead of having to start 3 wide receivers each and every week, we only have to start 2 wide receivers each and every week, I will pivot over and instead we will take Austin Eckler here at pick 19. Jeep guy says you'll be down in honey in no time. Oh, I hope not. I hope my voice gets back to normal soon. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, now Diggs goes 22, AJ Brown 21. So that Josh Allen team probably pretty excited, right? Take Allen at 3 and still get Stephon Diggs making it back around to you at 22. Henry says, last year, Mason, you started 3 quarterbacks in Superflex normally. Yeah, but if you remember, like last year, you were able to get like Aaron Rodgers in the middle round 2, then Kirk Cousins in the middle round 3. So, I mean, it was a little bit different than this year. Like, I don't know. I mean, we're taking like the running back 2 here. Whereas if you were looking at the running back 2 in drafts last year, that guy was going in round 1. So I think you have to like adjust to what your other drafters are doing, right? If you do the same thing every year and just act like you know best and blah, 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 you're probably just going to get crushed. Try to go through and adjust to what everybody else is doing, where these guys are actually going. Okay. Tesla says, invest in some sore throat tea, Mace. Definitely recommend it. Okay, I'll try it, my friend. I just need any kind of water at all right now. Lamb goes. Let's swing this back around. Okay, Taylor goes 26. So yeah, also what you're not seeing at all in 1 quarterback underdog drafts is like Jonathan Taylor going over Garrett Wilson, right? I mean, just in general, these wide receivers are going to those 1 quarterback underdog drafts, but they should probably go over the running backs whenever you have to start 3 of them and you know how hard it's going to be to find wide receiver later on. Whereas here in Superflex, it's just not the case. Soren says, how many quarterbacks do you take in Superflex? Extremely dependent on the draft that you were in. Extremely dependent on how heavy you go ahead and take quarterback. Cousins goes 28. This team took Burrow, Bijan Robinson with their first 2 picks. They go St. Brown. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Daniel Jones. Honestly, surprised to see Daniel Jones make it to us a pick 30. I understand he has an ADP of 33. Is Daniel Jones actually going this far in Superflex drafts? Like I said, this is the first one I've done, which is, I want to say like this month. Maybe the last Superflex tournament Underdog had was like 2 months ago. But is Daniel Jones generally making it to the middle of the 3rd round? Henry says, I had a hard time taking a quarterback in the 3rd round yesterday, but I did it a few times. I'm just assuming by the time we get back up on the clock, like round 4 and round 5, all these guys are going to be gone. I could be wrong, right? So I'm asking. Jeb says, Daniel Jones went at the 112 for me earlier today. Drew says, Jones was falling further than this in mine. 27 Drink says, bad pick, not going to lie. Scorp says he went at the 2-3 turn in my draft. So we've already gone at the 1-2 turn, the 2-3 turn, the 3-4 turn. So it sounds like these drafts are just all over the place, right? Big Rat says, is your team screwed if you have no correlation? I don't want to say it's screwed. I mean, if you have a very strong roster construction and at the same time, I mean, you got some great values. No, it's not like you have to have it. It's just better than not to have it, if that makes sense. I know probably that doesn't, but hopefully it does. Benny says, what's the difference between regular and Superflex? So a regular draft on Underdog, you're going to be starting 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. Here, if it's Superflex, you're going to start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a Superflex. A Superflex can be a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, or tight end. It can be literally anything. So essentially, you can start 2 quarterbacks on a week-to-week basis here in your Superflex drafts. That's the difference, my friend. Okay. Derek Carr goes pick 40. So who are the best quarterbacks available? Jordan Love, Stafford, Kyler Murray. Okay. Pollard goes 41. I think that's probably a pretty strong Pollard pick, right? Hard luck on the clock. I just don't know how these quarterbacks are going to go. What does hard luck do? They go Henry. We're going to take another running back. Like I said, I think running back is actually a priority here in these Superflex drafts in comparison to the 1 QB ones. So we'll go Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, it looks like Ramondre is in a prime spot to smash this next season. The main thing is, do they bring in someone, right? Do they bring in someone? Sean coming out with the donation. Thank you so much. Says, got in a Superflex draft with a Jefferson Kupp Bijan start when it first opened. How? Here you had Jefferson 9, Bijan 20, Kupp 13. Were you able to get quarterbacks that you like later on? Were you able to? That's crazy. Mason says Dalvin to the Pats is what I'm thinking. Honestly, I kind of would like that, considering the fact that I don't have enough for Ramondre Stevenson with how good of a situation it looks like for Ramondre right now. So, I mean, I'm kind of worried that Ramondre is going to crush me in all the leagues that I have not drafted him in. But if you bring in Dalvin, I think it'd be nice. I think it'd be nice. Okay, Amari goes 48. Okay, I don't even really care if wide receivers make this. I'm just so confident we're going to be able to find wide receivers later on. Mark says, how much Trey Lance should we have in Superflex? Very interesting question, right? It's going to depend on how many drafts that you're in. So say if you're in like 10 Superflex drafts, I would say you probably should have Trey Lance in about 10 drafts. If you were, say, in like 20 Superflex drafts, let's say you probably should have Trey Lance in about 20 drafts. If you get in like 100 Superflex drafts, let's say you probably should have Trey Lance in about 99 drafts. Somewhere around there. Okay, Gibbs goes 51. Ridley off 52. Okay, I don't even want to queue up what we're thinking here. This is the Southern something. They go Jordan Love. We'll take Deebo Samuel, right? We'll grab our first wide receiver. F it. That way we can take Bob Vance later on. So now we have Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, a quarterback. Running back, we have Austin Eckler, Ramondre Stevenson. Wide receiver, we have Deebo Samuel. Interesting team. Interesting. Abby says, where's the Superflex wall? It's on the homepage, my friend, on the homepage. Henry says, I got Stafford at the 705 in one draft and went in the 4th in the other. You never know with these. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. Really interesting. That's why it's like hard to know what we should be doing here in the middle rounds until you have some of these drafts under your belt and you're kind of getting a sense of the room, you know? So what do we think about that team that decided to pass on quarterback through the first, 3 rounds? Going Jefferson, Tyreek, Nick Chubb. I don't know. Okay, Kenny Pickett goes 61. Godwin off as well. So what quarterbacks are still available? So QB, you have Bryce Young, Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, Sam Howell, Mac Jones, Desmond Ridder, Trey Lance. McLaurin goes, we'll take Hawkinson. Easy game. Like I said, fine passing on a wide receiver in this tournament in particular. Let's take Hawkinson and let's see what happens. I primarily just want to see where these quarterbacks are going to go, right? Like, I want to see if we're going to be able to get a third quarterback that we like, if we're going to get them at a reasonable price. It's like the main question I think you should have with these drafts is where are these quarterbacks going? So, I mean, I actually really like the Hawkinson pick here at 67. So, one thing with these Superflex drafts is it's actually 20 rounds instead of 18. So, it does change the way you build your your roster just a little bit. Matt says, so running backs get pushed up in these drafts. It's not so much that running backs should get pushed up. It's just that wide receivers should get pushed down when you go from having to start 3 to only having to start 2. At least in my mind. Of course, I'm an idiot. I mean, you could go ahead and you could probably listen to 5 other people who tell you completely different things. But just in my mind, if you go from having to, if you have to start 3 quarterbacks, probably you should go ahead. 3 wide receivers. You should probably push them up the board like everybody else is. But once you only have to start 2, it kind of is what it is. Okay, Madison goes 72. Yeah, so you're seeing Alexander Madison in this one go pretty early. At least in comparison to some of these other running backs, right? Like the amount of drafts I've seen Alexander Madison go ahead of Kenneth Walker, Aaron Jones, and is very, very slim. So have any other quarterbacks gone off the board? Nope. So Bryce Young still best quarterback available for us. Mr. Padilla says he's at 50% TJ Hawkinson. Dear God, my man. Dear God. Jeep guy hitting him with the reach. Joe says, is this managed or best ball? This is best ball, my friend. So no time commitment at all during the year. Okay, so Hollywood goes 74. This is just such a weird draft. What the hell is going on? Squanto gets Kenneth Walker at 76. Strong value there with Kenneth Walker. Is Stroud already gone? No, CJ Stroud's right there. I don't know how I looked over him. Okay, Deontay goes. We're going to go ahead and take Aaron Jones. Yeah, so we're just straight up punting wide receiver here. Which is just, a death wish if you're doing so in a 1 quarterback league where you have to start 3 of them. Okay. So Young goes directly after. I wonder if we should have taken Bryce Young. If I try to put myself in the shoes of someone who says that Trey Lance is not going to be good this next season, right? Let's pretend that Lance won't be great this next season and we just can't pick up a quarterback 1 at the end of this draft. That's the case. Young is kind of like the last guy here, right? We can make a strong argument he's the last guy at least. I don't know. Okay, so Jay is saying off the board there at 84. Jeep guy says, why would you pretend something false? So I don't know. I like to play pretend sometimes, my friend. And Versailles says Lance will go long before the end. Who said I was talking about Lance? So I was talking about Lance. And obviously, I know he's not going to go at the very end of the draft. A little hyperbole there, but nonetheless. Okay, so Evans goes off the board 85. Damian Pierce goes 86. In Superflex drafts, I'm definitely going to be taking Damian Pierce over Mike Evans. I don't think I'm going to be thinking about it. Okay. Burks, Stroud. Y'all know I'm not taking Purdy. There's just no way in hell. Adrian out here saying I'm about to draft Brock Purdy. Are you kidding me, my man? You're out here enough to know that's not happening. Hard luck on the clock. Maybe they go Brock Purdy? For a second, I thought they had Kittle, but they actually have Kelsey. Could they go Purdy? Yeah, we're going to just take Jordan Addison as our second wide receiver here. In general, I mean, he's going way earlier than this in those one quarterback leagues if you're comparing me to other wide receivers in this range. Like where you have like Kadarius Toney and those guys going directly after. I mean, would rather just lock in Jordan Addison if I'm looking at his range of outcomes instead. I mean, Addison's probably actually good at football. At least, of course, I'm guessing, but I want to say he is. Okay, so Darren Waller goes directly after. Maybe you could make the argument that if we really want to push down wide receiver, we can go ahead and take Darren Waller over Jordan Addison whenever we have Daniel Jones. I don't know if we should. Ben says, how are Burrow and Deshaun Watson both at 3 rushing touchdowns, but Watson's rushing line is 2x longer? Let's look at this. So, of course, these are on Underdog, but let's pull this up. Okay, Watson is at 400 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. Burrow is at 200 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. I do not know, my friend. I don't know if I'd feel, you know, like I said, on those season-long props on Underdog, I'm not taking a single more than. I'm only lower than. So whenever I look at a prop, it's never like, okay, can I take advantage of this? Do I think this player will get here? I'm just looking at it saying, do I think the less than mark could be a good bet? You know what I mean? Like, if Jamar Chase is sitting there at just say like 1,200 receiving yards and I'm saying, okay, I think he should be like 1,250. This is hypothetical. I'm not going to take it. I'm not taking the more than. What happens if he gets hurt? I'm staying away from it. If I'm sitting there though and say, okay, I think that James Cook should be at like 450 rushing yards and they have him at 650, there I'll go ahead and take the lesser than. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for lines that I feel comfortable at the less than. I'm not looking for spots where it's like, okay, whatever. We can see if it happens. Okay, so quarterback. Tony goes. We'll just take Pickens. I mean, we only have 2 wide receivers with Deebo Samuel, Jordan Addison. Let's go ahead and let's take George Pickens here. And, I mean, obviously, when we have Deebo Samuel, and y'all know who I am, my main thing is I'm going to be looking for Trey Lance. So I'd rather take Trey Lance with this Deebo Samuel build in the next round. So if it means I'm going to pass on Sam Howell, I'm a little more likely to go ahead and, I don't know. If I pass on Sam Howell and let someone else have Sam Howell, maybe I'm a little more likely to get Lance on the way back around. Maybe I'm just dreaming. Maybe I'm making things up. Definite possibility there. Okay. So Brock says, I think stud tight end is really valuable in this format as well. Then we have Brock Smith coming out, says, I'm the real Brock. This dude's a phony. He's a phony and a fake. I'm going to expose him. Let's see it, Brock. Who is the real Brock? All right, let's get to the bottom of this. Let's see it. Let's see it. Okay. Let's move this over. Riley says, is Tony still the worst pick in fantasy football? I mean, when we made that video, Tony was going like 20 picks ahead of Quentin Johnston. Now here in this draft, he goes after Quentin Johnston. So it's hard to say he's still the worst pick in fantasy when he's fallen a considerable amount, but I don't know. Brock Sunland coming out of left field saying I'm the real Brock. Ooh. It's getting spicy. It's getting spicy out here. Okay, Bateman goes. Yeah, Bateman's going off the board. I'm kind of happy that we took Pickens in the last one. Move this down. Let's see about 6 wide receivers. Okay. Let's cue him up. Come on home. Come on down. Mr. Trey Lance, sir. We've been looking for a quarterback 3. I think you fit that mold. But in reality, probably don't. In reality, if we're trying to put Trey Lance in as a quarterback 3, it's probably like trying to put a triangle in a circle hole or a round peg in a square hole, a square peg in a round hole, whatever the hell the saying is. Because it's like trying to put a quarterback 1 in a quarterback 3 slot. Instead, we're going to take Lance and on our depth chart, okay? Now, I know it's just our depth chart. I don't know how much it means, but I'm going to have Lance QB1, Fields QB2, Daniel Jones QB3, just let you know. Okay. Love Star says, if Trey starts, he'll be a billionaire. I better. Hopefully Trey Lance recognizes how valuable I am to him as a partner. And hopefully he realizes, you know what? Yeah. For the long-term health of my career, for the long-term success of my name and likeness, I should probably go ahead and bring Mason on as like a pseudo agent and give him 10% of my contract from here on out. Hopefully Lance has that kind of foresight, but we'll see. We'll see. Now we have Fields, Daniel Jones, Trey Lance at quarterback. Running back, we have Eckler, Ramondre, Aaron Jones. Wide receiver, we have Deebo Samuel, Jordan Addison, George Pickens. Tight end, we have TJ Hawkinson. So I like the team, right? I mean, we don't have a lot of correlation in it so far. We have Trey Lance stacked up with Deebo Samuel. We have Jordan Addison stacked up with TJ Hawkinson. But outside of that, we don't have much. Now, of course, we have Justin Fields. We have Daniel Jones. These are quarterbacks that you can find their wide receivers extremely late in these drafts. So we can still possibly go down that road. GBI says, we need Lance on the channel so bad. We do. We do. I want him to do a draft with me. That's what I want more than anything. I doubt he can, but I mean, talking to him would be more than enough. But if I could get him to do a draft with us as well, that would just be absurd. Okay, so let's see. What other quarterbacks are available? You got Baker, Tannehill, Brissett. Tannehill goes here. Gibson goes 124. Evan Ingram's fallen, 24? He's fallen 2 rounds past ADP. I don't know how much ADP means in this. I actually will probably make a mistake. I don't care. If I'm able to grab another starting quarterback here in round 11, sign me up for it. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Baker Mayfield. I don't know if it's the right call. What sucks taking Baker is, Godwin's clearly gone. Evans is clearly gone. Rashad White's clearly gone. We really going to draft the tight end in Tampa? We really going to draft the wide receiver 3? Probably not. But nonetheless, in Superflex, if I'm able to get a quarterback that I'm pretty sure will be a starter this next season, and he's the last guy that I'm pretty sure will be a starter this next season, might as well go ahead and take that swing. Have 4 starting quarterbacks, 2 of these guys, and spike into our starting lineup each and every week. All right, let's move this over. Evan Ingram, David Njoku off the board here, 128, 129. Interesting to see them fall so far, right? let's move this back around. This team has 7 wide receivers and 0 running backs, as if they don't know you can only start 2 wide receivers in a flex. Is this team on auto or something? No, this team's not on auto. They're actually doing this. So I'm saying, like, people really will hop in these drafts not understanding the nuances of how you're supposed to be optimizing for the overall tournament structure. Like, we'll be in like a high stakes draft and we'll devalue wide receiver a bit, and people go, oh my God, he has no idea who's. Then we win multiple high stakes tournaments. Or like you're in a Superflex draft where you only start 2 wide receivers and you still see someone take 7 wide receivers, only 1 running back. But Henry says someone took 12 wide receivers on one of mine yesterday. It's because there are people that are very loud, right? And there are communities that are very loud that say, if you don't go wide receiver, 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 you don't know what you're doing. Those people usually don't win. I don't know when they do. And it ends up stuff like this where people don't optimize for the format and they just make bad decision after bad decision. Okay. Now, we are obviously not taking quarterback. We're just running back, wide receiver, tight end from here on out. Brock says, why are you lower on wide receivers in high stakes drafts? Not necessarily that you're lower on wide receivers. It's more so you change your roster construction where you don't need to draft as many wide receivers or as many middle round wide receivers. Because if you're in like a super large field tournament, such as like the Puppy, Chihuahua, and just any of those like Best Ball Mania, right? Those super massive tournaments. When you're in the fantasy football playoff stretch in weeks 15, 16, 17, like you're going to be in like large fields there trying to advance. So you need like the highest potential spike that you can get out of a starting lineup, which inherently wide receivers have a little more week to week volatility. So it's generally more effective to draft an extra wide receiver or 2 in that super large field tournament. However, if you're in like a high stakes draft where the tournament's going to be a little bit smaller and you don't necessarily need that same level of just an insane week to week ceiling with those guys, you're a little more incentivized to go with the running back that may just have a higher median projection because you're more so looking for points rather than massive spikes, even if the points are more in a flattened distribution. So yeah, it really depends on the tournament that you are in and how you want to construct your roster. And some people don't understand how to make the adjustment. Okay. Jeep Guy says, when do you plan on going over your winning teams from the last year? Probably August. I know it's forever from now, right? But that's when like all the casual redraft people are going to come in. Like, you know, we've been streaming every single day since April, right? So, and we made a video every single day this year. Obviously, we talked Dynasty 365 days a year, but I mean, like the majority of the fantasy football community is not checking in until August. And I mean, like I said a million times, I know it just is like probably crappy for me to say, but we're saving those videos. I know they're going to do very well in the YouTube algorithm for whenever like all the casual people are in. Okay. Now Jarrett McKinnon goes 149. We're actually going to take a wide receiver here. So the reason being is kind of want to take Komet, right? Whenever we have Justin Fields. If we take the year 2 tight end out of Tennessee here, we probably aren't as incentivized to go Cole Kmet in the next round. So yeah, let's just grab Rondell Moore, and then we will get a tight end a little later on. Okay, let's move this over. And real quick, of course, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you want to get into one of these underdog drafts, make sure you go to the link in the live chat, link in the description, link in the comment section. Use promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up 200. Plus, get my 2023 fantasy football rankings at a free trial to flockfantasy.com. But ladies and gentlemen, I think I actually may in this stream here. I know I'm very, very sorry. I have so much work to do since we went to the lake the past 2 days. I am so freaking tired and I really need some water. So I think we're going to cut the live stream here. Thank you. I will be back tomorrow. I will do a Best Ball Mania draft and a Superflex Chihuahua if that's what y'all are wanting. If we do a Best Ball Mania and y'all just want another Best Ball Mania instead of a Superflex draft, we'll do that. I'll do whatever y'all want tomorrow. But we're probably going to cut it here, and I really need to go get some water. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day, and really hope that we get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow.